Afternoon peeps, good afternoon everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. Before we talk AJ Wilder and this fight card in Saudi Arabia, I do quickly want to give my thoughts on the fight card I was at yesterday at Newcastle for the next gen card. Some people like these cards, some people don't. I like them. I get it, especially if you're a DAZN subscriber. You just want to see the big fights. You don't really want to see sort of the up and coming kids, but I think it's good to see fighters that we don't really know get a chance to headline and showcase their skills. Let's quickly bring up the fight card. All right, let's start from the top. Shabaz Masood versus Jose San Martin. I said this on the broadcast. I thought that San Martin won that fight. It was close, but I thought he won it by a couple of rounds. One of the judges that gave it 98-92 to Shabaz Masood. I mean, we're not going to go there again and talk about judges because it's just a constant record, isn't it? But that's just a disgraceful card. Look, this was Shabaz Masood's first fight in a year, making his matchroom debut. So maybe, and headlining, so maybe there were nerves, maybe there were jitters, but overall I expected more. And he's going to have a bit of a problem. I was watching him thinking, okay, look, Jose San Martin's a step up from what he's fought before. But San Martin, when he gets to that sort of world level, I mean, he gets beaten, right? There's been a lot of talk about Shabaz Masood being ranked number 6, I think, by the WBA. He's not world level yet, and maybe we need to just remove that and just focus on what he is now. He might get there, but now he's a good British level fighter that's going to need to add a few things to his arsenal to get to European level, let alone world level. He doesn't have the pop to keep fighters off him. And San Martin clearly realized that and just was on his chest all night. And I don't know if he has sort of the skill set yet in order to survive the rounds without having to put a dent in someone. But look, he got the W, controversial. It wasn't a robbery, but again, I think the majority of people thought San Martin won. Eddie certainly did. Ben Davison, I think, even did. And I mean, I was on the broadcast with Tony Bellew and Barry Jones, and they thought he did as well. Mark Dickinson, Grant Dennis, good win for Mark Dickinson. Grant Dennis upset about the stoppage. I mean, if you're on the canvas at 8 and you get up at 9, you're giving the referee a decision to make there. And I mean, if he was trying to time it perfectly, because look, he is experienced, he just timed it wrong. And I thought he was, I wouldn't say, not negative, but I thought he felt Mark Dickinson's power early and decided to fight on the back foot, whereas I thought he was going to maybe sort of bring it to Mark Dickinson. Because Dickinson, I mean, look at the record. And I think it's maybe too quick to say he's not a puncher, but the record book suggests that he maybe doesn't have that pop. But it looked like he hurt Grant a few times. So good win for Mark Dickinson. Ewan McKenzie, Ishmael Davis. Again, this is what I said at the top. This next gen cards give us the opportunity to see fighters that we maybe wouldn't have heard before. I didn't know who Ishmael Davis was before. Didn't know. I met him at the hotel. Obviously, I saw the weigh-ins. And I know muscles don't win fights, obviously. But as soon as I saw the weigh-ins between these two guys, I was like, well, I mean, one looks like a man and one looks like he's still not yet developed. You know what I mean? He hasn't got his man strength yet. And that's kind of how the fight played out. Every time Ishmael Davis sort of got close, he bullied him. Very composed with his work, switched stances effortlessly, by the way. I mean, very smooth. And I thought there was a couple more gears to go. I thought that if Ewan McKenzie put it on him, he could have just gone. So, look, good performance. Again, it's one to watch. Ishmael Davis now moves to 12-0, and he's mandatory for the English title as well. So, good luck to him. Again, another upset on this. And this, like I said this before, sometimes with these next-gen cards, like... And Eddie, to be fair, has backed up his words. No more easy touches. No more easy touches. Put these guys in with 50-50 fights. If they win, they win. If they don't, they don't. And whoever wins goes forward. I think he said winner stays on. And for Jeff Ofori, I mean, he bashed up Callum French. That might be considered bad matchmaking, actually, considering Callum French has only had one fight in 17 months. And Jeff Ofori has fought 4 times this year. And is, I don't know, he's fought at 130 and he's gone as high as 147. So this guy clearly just loves to fight, right? Almost have gloves, will take every opportunity, and took this opportunity. And I think they were right to throw in the towel. That's a beating Callum French took so early in his career as well. Be interesting to see what happens with him. And young Cameron Vong beat John Henry Mascara. Again, another fighter that they're hyping up a lot. a lot. Sam Jones, can't stop talking about him. We'll see. We'll see. I like this matchup, though, because Mascara came very awkward, very tricky. And in your second fight, normally you're getting a guy with a losing record who's just almost come in and understands the assignment. John Henry Mascara didn't clearly get the memo, and he came, and for the first couple of rounds looked like he might cause a problem. Then eventually he ran out of ideas as well, and Cameron Vong kind of showed the ability that a lot of people think he has. All right, that's that. We move on. And by the way, I know this card got a lot of criticism, and this isn't me playing company man, but I did think that this card might be cancelled. I don't know if you guys remember, it was supposed to be Cyrus Pattinson versus Lewis Ritson. Cyrus Pattinson got beat, and then it was supposed to be Pat McCormack versus, I can't remember the American's name. He was supposed to fight Dobson. Obviously, Pat McCormack got injured, so it lost its main event and then chief support. And then the only reason Shabaz Massoud was on this against Sam Martin is because Shabaz Massoud was supposed to fight on the Jack Catchall undercard, but got injured and they just put him there. So it was a card almost just scraped together. But again, I like these cards. I find them entertaining. All right, let's talk about the big news. And the big news is that it looks like, and I mean, I spoke to a few Matchroom people yesterday, everyone actually, and I said, look, what's going on? Is there any truth in this? Because I didn't want to just make a video on it if there was no truth at all. And they're like, no, this is true. This is true. AJ will fight December 23rd in Saudi Arabia against opponent to be named. We'll talk about the opponents. So will Wilder, and so will a bunch of other heavyweights as well. I think Frank Warren first mentioned the fact that there is going to be a fight card December 23rd in Riyadh. Remember, their idea was to do Fury Usyk, and I think they really wanted to do that. Like, they were desperate to make sure that that happened. Obviously, with the way that fight played out, that's now been moved to February, maybe the end of Riyadh season, which I believe is March. So they wanted something big to happen on that day, and this is big, right? I mean, AJ fighting on the card, even though it's not against Wilder, is big. Wilder fighting on the card, even though it's not against AJ, is big, and a bunch of other heavyweight fights as well. Now, I think the first question, and it's the question I first asked when I heard it, was like, 1 second. So AJ's fighting on the 23rd of December in this event. Wilder's fighting on the 23rd of December in this event. Why is AJ not fighting Wilder? Like, someone explain that to me. And I think the only answer that I can think about, or the only thing that makes sense to me, is that the money that they have for Fury Usyk that was supposed to be on the 23rd of December, that money still goes to whatever date Fury Usyk's going to be on. And it's almost as though they said, you know what, we still want this date, and look, we can't go big on it in terms of $100 million on it. We can go 25 million. And it's almost as though that, AJ, would you take 10 million to fight Otto Volin? Yes, I would. Wilder, would you take 10 million to fight Joseph Parker, which is what we're hearing? Okay, we can't give you guys what you both want to fight each other, but we can give you almost, and it's ridiculous to call it this, but ticking over money just to be on this fight card. And that's the only reason or logical reason I can think as to why AJ is not fighting Deontay Wilder. Because I know some people will say it's only 7 weeks notice. These guys have been preparing for each other for 5 years, man. For 5 years. You don't have to get into camp to fight each other. You've been preparing for each other for 5 years. You know each other's style. You can get it on. I just don't think, and it's crazy because we're talking about the Saudis here, I just don't think there was enough money in the pot for this card to pay them. I know it sounds silly, but that's the only thing I can think as to why we're not seeing AJ Wilder, yet we're seeing them both on the same card. I mean, the press conference alone is going to be interesting. Just them being in and around each other is going to be interesting. And I guess the plan, and this is me thinking forward here, is if they both come through, then we get some sort of face-off in the ring. We get something announced at the end of it. But look, I'm happy. I've always said I want AJ to fight 3 times this year, and it looks like we're going to get it. I'm a bit nervous, it being Otto Volin, who's coming off a good win against Gassiev. He's a southpaw. But if I'm AJ, and I said this to Eddie Hearn today, actually, we both got the flight back from Newcastle. I said, look, if you're AJ, I mean, you fought the best southpaw out there in Usyk. I mean, Otto Volin's no Alexander Usyk. Otto Volin's good, but AJ, at this stage of his career, should be beating an Otto Volin. I don't want it to be Emmanuel Char. There's been some talk about Agit Kabayel, but it looks like it could be Otto Volin. Deontay Wilder, Joseph Parker's an interesting one. That I didn't see coming from anywhere. I didn't see it. I mean, if anything, I thought they might go all out and give us Deontay Wilder Ruiz. But again, I feel like they've got a budget here. And again, it's strange talking about the Saudis having a budget. I feel like they've got a budget and they're just trying to make the best of what they can do with this budget. And a Ruiz might have priced himself out, who knows. But this is an interesting one because obviously Parker's coming off that win against Simon Keane. He looked good in that win. It is Simon Keane, wasn't it? Yeah, coming off that win against Simon Keane. He did look good. He's a former world champion. This is the opportunity he wants. And look, for as much as we laud Wilder, and rightly so, it's one fight in 2 years. He's taken a lot of punishment against Tyson Fury. I'm not saying that Joseph Parker beats him, but I don't think it's a bad fight. I've seen some people like, oh, I'm like, it's not a bad fight. I mean, this is Joseph Parker, who's in and around the top 10, right? If he's not top 10, he's at worst number 12, fighting a guy that's 4th, 5th, wherever you have Deontay Wilder. That's not bad. You can't always get bloody Man City, Liverpool every week. Sometimes you do need to get a bit of Man City, Aston Villa for us football fans. So those are the two main fights on the card. We're also hearing other things coming out of it. I mean, I heard Daniel Dubois versus Chisora, or Daniel Dubois versus Jarrell Miller. Martin Bakoli is going to be on the card as well again. So look, I mean, there's a lot going on. There's a lot to unpack, and I think it will all be announced this week. It has to be announced this week because December 23rd isn't long away. Another interesting thing will be who the hell broadcasts this fight. Will it be similar to the Fury Ngannou one, where TNT got the UK rights, ESPN got the America rights, and DAZN got the international rights? Don't know if that works. I feel like DAZN are going to want the bigger slice of this one, especially if it is AJ that is the headline actor. I'm guessing it will be AJ. I mean, if you're DAZN, you're not going to go into that with worldwide rights knowing that AJ's star power is in the UK. So surely all that gets flipped around a bit. Do you know what I mean? Maybe. Don't know. I don't know how it's going to work. But yeah, look, who cares, right? I mean, what we're getting is AJ having a third fight. I think Otto Vollin's quite risky, but it is what it is. At this stage of his career, you take those risks because the rewards are big. It looks like it's going to be Wilder versus Joseph Parker. Again, these are all rumours. And Martin Bakoli's on it and Daniel Dubois on it as well. It's going to be a great heavyweight card. I thought the last one was really, really good. I really enjoyed all the fights on there. Fabio Wardley, Adelaide probably didn't do enough, right? He probably let himself down a little bit. But I enjoyed Moses Atama. I certainly enjoyed Bakoli's performance, and I'm looking forward to seeing who he can fight. Just before we wrap on this one, by the way, we're back. We're back, by the way, people. We're not going away next week. We're here, so we're doing videos every single day. I got rumors of a massive, and I mean this with a capital M, fight in Africa. Someone's reached out to me who has their ear to the ground, and they're like, Ade, something's happening in Africa, specifically South Africa, around April, May. It's all I know. I don't know any more, but I'm hearing something big. I have no idea what that means. I have no idea what name's involved, but it'd be interesting to know when I know. All right, let's have a quick browse and see if there's any. You know, I do want to quickly talk about, and we'll do more on this. There's a guy, I can't remember his name. He pops up on my Twitter page a lot, and he's like, oh, you know, English boxing or British boxing is shit right now, and blah 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 blah. Like, there is no fighters, blah blah blah. You're wrong. You're wrong. I get it. We're not at where we were 5-6 years ago, where it felt like there was a big fight card every week, which wasn't the case, but that's what it felt like. I think the big problem right now for British boxing, it isn't necessarily the lack of stars, although, you know, it's a bit thin, but isn't that? It's the fact that this island isn't big enough to have 4 broadcasters. It just isn't big enough. I mean, Wasserman put on a show in Brighton recently. Obviously, Eddie did this one. BT Sports do what they do, and Sky Sports and Boxer do what they do. It felt like a few years ago when it was big that it was only really BT Sports and it was BT Sports and Sky was just so much more bigger, right? Eddie and Sky were doing really good things. Now all the talent is spread over 4 broadcasters. Just, there's not enough talent to go around. If all that talent pool was in 2 broadcasters, I think it would be like what it was 4 or 5 years ago or 6 years ago, whatever. But because it's spread and it's spread thin, again, that's what makes it look like it's crap right now. And I think that's the problem going forward. I don't know how that problem's resolved. I mean, I hear that Sky and Box are on shaky legs. Wasserman and Channel 5 are okay because they don't put cards on every week. So when they do put on a card, it's actually pretty decent. And obviously, I think TNT are doing a good job right now. Doing a good job. So look, it's thin right now, but stick with it. I think we've got some good fights towards the end of the year. TNT shows recent, that Magnificent 7, I think it's called, that show's good. Abroad, obviously, we've got Benavidez, Andrade. Not really fussed about the undercard on that one, but it's a good fight, right? That's going to be interesting. Regis Prograis, Devin Haney, interesting. Chantel Cameron, Katie Taylor, I feel like a salesman right now. Sonny Bam. And now, obviously, this fight card in Abu Dhabi, and Saudi Arabia, 23rd of December. So look, still some good things to look forward to. And I think it's been a good year overall for boxing. Again, we as fight fans, we moan and want everything, but hopefully you'll appreciate it. It has been a good year. All right, look, we'll do more videos once we get a bit more information about this Saudi card, but I think it 100% is happening, which kind of contradicts itself, doesn't it? I think, and then 100%, but it is happening. I will be there. And I look forward to covering it because I think it's going to be crazy out there. Peace and love.